Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, the Sleepyhead DBJ. Thank you very much for being here. For those who do not know, we go live 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and anyone that is able to participate in the chat on YouTube and or Twitch is a member of the co-host community. So I really appreciate it. And this week we are continuing our world building series, this day of series, and I thought it would be interesting to take different bits and pieces of the era of settling the United States and using that as the fuel, the mind fuel for our creative endeavors. And today we're going to talk about, as you can see around me, dark colors, dark shirt, dark headband, uh, um, dark flowing things around me. We're going to talk about crude oil and how it fits into, or how we could make it and use it as a fuel in many ways for our tabletop role playing experience. And yes, absolutely, crude oil, Greek fire, gunpowder, D&D explosives, absolutely. and discuss, like, maybe we could try to decide what it is, where it comes from, how do we extract it, um, the how industrialized would could or would or should a fantasy realm get when they're able to extract some kind of resource that's not only in the purview of our adventurers and things like that. Dr. Turd Midget, hey, what's going on? The America setting for Dungeon Crawl Classics. That isn't that the is that part of the Mutant Crawl Classic version of the game? Anyway, it says has Petrolex, the god of fuel and fire. Um Often something that I find that it seems to be a commonality is that in a lot of fantasy, most of the resources, the very valuable resources, and when I say resources, I'm talking about like gold and magic and those kind of things, tend to fall into the hands of the player characters. And because of many of our fantasy games allow our characters to become larger than life, it makes perfect sense, right? Like, player characters becoming, sorry, my microphone is about to fall down. Many of our player characters who are like uh, technologically aligned, whether they're alchemists or they deal with steam powered engines and technologies, and even more fantasy, it tend to be far closely related to player characters, meaning like it's rare and only the bravest and most foolhardy can extract this resource and then use it. But it seems like a lot of the resources that create industrial revolutions, that push humanity to very quickly adopt a new mode of thinking and move away from a past mode of thinking, whether it's physically moving from one side of a country to another, whether it is psychologically moving from, we used to find this one thing reprehensible, now we embrace it because because we have to rationalize the use of it, and then it falls into the common person's hands. And I think players involved in that flow from one ideology to the next, I think, is pretty interesting because we don't often see that, right? Like, we don't see, I'm just pulling this out of my ass, like we don't see whole nations, I don't know, like Atlantis moving underwater, or we don't see a whole population, I don't know, adopting uh, the the machinations of the nine hells. We really don't see that, and the player characters being involved in it. We don't see firearms going from non-existent to being uh, mass produced for the masses, and the player characters seeing that kind of stuff. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. So Shai says, so setting the U.S. and and, quote, developing it for its natural resource. Did the original settlers even know the use of oil? Wasn't until the 19th century that they got that far. I have a Wikipedia page, don't know how accurate it is, but it is some information we can use off of and then figure out um what maybe this is a resource that is used, but the people using the resource are using it for, saying, like, lighting their homes, but they don't realize that there's an even more insidious use for it, or more war-based use for it, or something like that. Yeah. Dr. Turbidge just says no, it's his own setting, very Thundar style, post-apocalyptic fantasy with wizards and mutants and whatnot. Oh, I did not know that. I did not know that. I'm gonna look it up. I always like Thundar the Barbarian, and it's less popular aside Black Star. But Shice says Unmerica. Come to think of it, D&D has ripped off other culture and regions in, in the real world except North America. So where's the D&D US and Canada? Yeah, that's kind of why I was like, you know what? Instead of picking on everybody else, let's pick on ourselves. Yeah, Shice says okay. They do to burn oil for lamps way back in the Middle Ages. Yes, and there was something known as paraffin oil. Anyway, we'll get into what it is. Let's see. It doesn't really go into that much detail. All right, so first, let us all get on the same page when it comes to petroleum products, at least how it is described here. And then, of course, this is world building, it's fantasy. We get to twist it and such. Now, everybody, relax, because I'm sure there's going to be some comments forthcoming as to how popular or dangerous or world altering in positive and or negative ways that petroleum products happen. But we, in our uh, designed for our fantasy, are going to take whatever that means, and we're just going to do whatever with it, minus the real world ramifications. So it says petroleum, also known as crude oil or simply oil, is a naturally occurring yellowish black liquid mixture of mainly hydrocarbons and is found in geological formations. The name petroleum covers both naturally occurring unprocessed crude oil and petroleum products that consist of refined crude oil. Uh, Petroleum is primarily recovered by oil drilling. Drilling is carried out after studies of structural geology and sedimentary basin analysis and reservoir characterization. And then there's unconventional reserves such as oil sands and oil shale. I live in a state where there is fracking. Once extracted, oil is refined and separated mostly by distillation into innumerate products for direct use or use in manufacturing. Products include fuels such as gasoline or petrol, diesel, kerosene, and jet fuel, asphalt and lubricants, chemical reagents used to make plastics, solvents, textiles, refrigerants, paint, synthetic rubber, fertilizers, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, and thousands of others. I believe this is the most important part, or one of the most important parts. Petroleum is used in manufacturing a vast variety of materials used essential for modern life, and it is estimated that the world consumes about 100 million barrels or 16 million cubic meters each day. Petroleum production can be extremely profitable and was critical to global economic development in the 20th century, with some countries, so-called oil states, gaining significant economic and international power because of their control of oil production. Oil states, not meaning the United States, but states meaning like other countries known as oil states. Petroleum exploitation can be damaging to the environment and human health. Extraction, refining, and burning of petroleum fuels all release large quantities of greenhouse gases. So, petroleum is one of the major contributors to climate change. Other negative environmental effects include direct releases, such as oil spills, which is, I think, pretty nasty as well as air and water pollution at almost all stages of use. These environmental effects have direct and indirect health consequences for humans. Oil has also been a source of internal and interstate conflict, not interstate as in the United States, but interstate as in neighboring states around the world, leading to both state led wars and resource conflicts. Production of petroleum is estimated to reach peak oil before 2035 as global economies and dependencies on petroleum as part of climate change mitigation and transition towards renewable energy and electrification. So, and of course, um, for uh, the early uses of oil, let's see, more than 4,300 years ago, was mentioned when the Sumerians used it to make boats. Let's see, more than 4,000 years ago, according to Herodotus, and others, asphalt was used in construction of the walls and towers of Babylon. There were oil pits near Babylon and a pitch spring. Great quantities of it were found on the banks of the river Issus or Isus, Issus, one of the tributaries of the Euphrates. Ancient Persian tablets indicate the medicinal and lighting uses of petroleum in the upper levels of society. And then it talks about different uses like a paraffin wax type of oil and things like that. And then it just talks about different places. Most of it like towards the Middle East, and how long ago it was. And then of course we get into the um, modern uses of it. So, but fantasy wise, it would be pretty. I think it would be pretty interesting to kind of imagine, if you will, um, like where it comes from. And the first thing that comes to my mind is like it's very much like all the puddings, jellies, oils, what's it oozes that we have in fantasy, and like how interesting it would be, like, is this like proto black puddings and gray oozes? I don't know. TA's like petroleum is also a solvent, thus it will dissolve things it is near that can be dissolved. So I could see it having some mythic salts like mithril oxide or sulfate that can be extracted for making Mitchell. Oh, okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Or whale oil. Yes, whale oil and whale hunting, which could be a reason for Gaia letting them have it too, even though they are digging into the earth to extract it, trying to stop them from murder killing whales or something. That now, see, that's pretty interesting, right? Like, what if like humanity was like murder killing all the whales, and then the earth spirits are like, no, you need to chill, cut that out. Here's another resource you can take. And yeah, I mean, maybe, I always pick with the Druidic circle, but the Druidic circle might be actually using it for a lot of these resources. Maybe they are the proto diviners, like the water diviners that walk around with the two metal rods in their hands and can lead towards water sources. Maybe this is a kind of thing. And then who has access to it? Is this access to like a specialized skill to find it and extract it from specific guilds? Are those guilds competing against each other? Um, Maybe there is a people are born with the ability to find it, like a sorcerer, right? Like I don't know. There's a birthmark, and those who their eyes turn an oily black, and they're able to find this crude oil that they're able to discover in the earth. And then how do you mine for it? Would dwarves mine for it? Would they be would they be the archetype, the tropish uh, culture that would mine for it, or would there be plenty of different humanoids mining for it? Maybe there's monsters that are the ones that are able to allow us to get to it before machinery is able to do it, like those damn ankhegs that keep popping up out the earth and murder killing our farmers and going after our harvests. Maybe those boulets and other digging burrowing monsters are able to find this kind of stuff. Maybe, a result of that could be like dead purple worms and boulets and those ankhegs uh, bubbling up to the surface, and the oil is there. And you know, depending on how it's processed, it it comes across as a wish fulfilling material. And I don't mean directly a wish, like you just look at it and wish for what you want, but depending on how it's processed, I mean, turning it into solids and medicines and fuel and um or just even just plain old oil itself. And again, like you guys were saying, like, it very easily can become something that can be explosive and then used in war. um yeah, I could see it very much being starting to alter the the trajectory of a fantasy realm. And it would be pretty interesting. The PC's kind of shrugging their shoulders, like, it's an oil pit with some dead animals in it, whatever, right? And then they keep moving on, and when they come back in a couple of months, there's like a whole like a city of 10,000, and they see like towers and people digging, and it's trying to extract the stuff, and it's in barrels and everything. And the PC's like, what the hell just happened here? I don't know. TA says, doubt the peak is coming that soon, considering they found more deposits of it off Gaza than all Middle Eastern states previously had. Funny that. Yeah, and of course, we always know things till we don't know, right? It's or what is it? There's four things. Things you don't know that you knew you didn't know. Things you knew, things you think you knew that you know, things you think you knew that you don't know, things you don't know that you should know, and things you didn't know that you don't know. Ugh, horrible, but there's that. Um, the whole use of oil process of refineries as such is very alchemical feeling when you get right down to it, even now, especially if it's used in a more, I want to say, like, if we ref- keep it to a alchemical type, like it's being processed in maybe a study with a dozen acolytes or students, or a wizard's tower itself. Literally, the center of the wizard's tower is a representative of the oil refinery, where the tower is built over the oil, and the wizards inside of it are the ones extracting it. They're alchemists, and they extract it, and then others maybe beseech them to find these kind of things. Yeah, the ancient druid father Exxon. Yeah, Exxon. I am the leader, Valdez, or the druid group of Sinclair. Yep. Yeah, mithril. Yeah. Dr. Turd Midget says, in a fantasy setting, oil could be the liquefied body of a dead fire god. I was thinking about that too. Like, what if it's the blood of like a dead god or something? Or living god? Burning it turns it into fire, which is slowly resurrecting the dead god or turning him into a god of pollution. Yeah. Or TA says the smog monster from the Godzilla universe. Ooh. Now, these are some horrible. Okay. Burning oil fields. Um, I wonder if, I mean, burning oil fields are like a hellscape. Maybe this is why. And like you said, like a fire god is being resurrected by having it extracted. And this is the way to do it. Yeah, I mean, or maybe even the extractors are surrounded by. So the extractors are just workers, right? They're just in, the druids and gnomes or whatever are just in like literally oiled leathers that are with goggles on and gas masks and things, but they're surrounded by a cult that is trying to get the oil extracted for their own uses, or the extraction process itself is extracting it. And what a great hellscape it would be. Breathing it in, it's nasty, you want to cough and stuff, and it's like it's blackened and oily, and there's smoke and fire, which could be like randomized and such. I mean, just looking at these images, it's pretty horrible. Maybe even special types of armor, or just suits that, here's some people. Let's see, there's an image of using fire shields and fire suppressant materials and magics. Here's another image. I mean, there's plenty of images are nasty, but yeah, what a great real world analogy for like a fantasy hellscape brought to Earth. Mm. Yeah, dead gods for oil. Now we go to the astral plane. Yeah, we did our planescape discovery. Yeah, maybe this is a way to get there, right? Like, or to extract it from somewhere else. Like maybe it's not, you know, in our world we call it hydrocarbons and such, but in a fantasy realm, the blood of a dead god, hells yes. It's a godlike figure down in the abyss being extracted. This is the way it's able to become its physical form here on earth. And every time someone extracts it and burns it off, it's like, yeah, I'm here. And who's to say that all those barrels that are being trudged around the countryside and such might not come alive? Like maybe that is black pudding and gray ooze and okay, what are some of the ochre jelly, um, gelatinous gelatinous polyhedrals, yellow mold, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe the danger of it is not just lighting it on fire and it exploding, but if it gets out, it might, if it's not processed correctly, it'll like consume the people that are handling it. And the PCs are just shaking their heads like, I can't believe you guys are just stacking barrels and barrels of like black oozes and brown mold and ochre jellies and stuff. I don't know. TA says also they do use special rocks made to form one chemical group into another one, almost like the catalysts are akin to the philosopher's stone, but there are a bunch of different types of philostones. Yeah, like we could make up our own um, alchemical. This plus this makes this, right? Like it could be like a catalyst could be something like energized, cold, fire, electricity, acids, um, uh, eh, like the philosopher's stone, dipping gold, tin, aluminum, silver, um, salt, things like that, mixing the two, and then combining like the catalytic energy with the catalytic chemical, and then doing those two things together creates something else on the outside. Yeah, the ochre jellies for oil. Okay, that's a good side quest. I don't know if that's a quest. Maybe that's more of like a hell no. But yeah, yeah. Shai says this came up before, but the notion that a magic in a fantasy world will necessarily slow down the development of technology. If you can just make fire by magic, why develop petroleum technology? Yeah, I mean, there's always arguments against that, right? Like, for example, um, uh, let's consider brain surgery, right? We all of us have access to brain surgery, but we aren't all brain surgeons. And the reason is because money, time, resources, right? Like what is it? I believe it was Napoleon. Well, Sun Tzu, but basically Napoleon armed the masses with crossbows, bow and arrows, spears, and things like that. And it, I think we underestimate that we tend to fall towards the easiest thing than the most um desirable thing, right? So is it easier to get a wizard to start a fire, or is it just easier for me to strike two rocks against each other in some dry kindling, right? It's better for me to do that than to spend 7 years in a wizard school to learn how to make fire with my hands, even though if once I learn, I basically never have to figure out how to make fire again, right? So I do think we tend to fall towards either the easiest thing, or we fall towards the most industrious thing. So a guild that has the oil rights, right? If there's a guild that ends up having oil rights and the guild says, "Hey, couple of coppers of silver, and I'll give you a bottle of oil," people might go, "Oh, okay, well, that's a whole lot easier than me going after the oil or me learning how to make magic or me." You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So I do think there's a you could argue either side. One could be, well, if we have magic and we have a fire wizard in our town, what do we need to learn how to make fire for? Or the opposite way, which is, man, that fire wizard's got an attitude. I'm going to learn how to make a fire my own self, right? There's that kind of thing. And then there's also the end result of, well, in I don't know, 80 years, one of those things is going to be the dominant one, but maybe you're just living through a transitional period where you don't know. No one knows. I mean, there was a transitional period where people were like, yeah, the automobile will never be a thing, right? Or aeroplanes flying like birds, Puh, that'll never happen. And I'm sure people lived and died during that era. And then at a certain point, it did become a real thing. So it could literally multiply so you have one trapped and keep feeding it your enemies, yeah, to it to get more of the liquid oil to run your town or city, like some dark secret people disappearing, yeah, getting dumped down and and why is there a big black oily pit in the middle of town? Don't worry about it. Oh, are you speaking up against our nobility? Yeah, we're gonna have to put a canvas tarp over your face and dump you down into the oil pit in the middle of town. Yeah, hell's yeah, feeding it. Yeah. So the characters find out the missing are being dumped into the oil monster, so it will grow and they can skim it for fuel, or maybe it even kind of does what they want it to do, maybe. Because it would be pretty nasty to have like an oil monster or oil barrel snuck into a rival city and then burst open and then lit on fire, or it's like you said, petroleum is kind of an acidic thing. It could be used to weaken the castle walls or something, or it's slippery or sticky or adhesive or acidic in the city streets, and people are running and their shoes are like sizzling and stuff. Yeah, be pretty nasty. Yeah, when I he says oil in a fantasy universe, that should be interesting. Yeah. Ugh. See, people would find a reason to do it, probably because of feeling like a monopoly is being held over them by the magic users, so they would want to find other ways that they can do the same things. Yeah, exactly. And that's not my argument, but that's my I love the drama of the thing, right? With the two heads biting against each other. So, yeah, if wizards are holding their special capabilities over the heads of the population, then you're absolutely going to find out that humans are going to find another way to do that thing, right? Oh, the wizards are using flying discs to move around. Well, we're going to make carts because people, personalities, assholes, right? So, and sure, could the wizards take over society? Yeah, maybe eventually. Or is it the other way around, where the where humanity is like, yeah, we're going to poison their food and you know, um, lock them in their wizard's tower and set it on fire or something like that. Also, we could we could very easily substitute the oil for other things that already exist in fantasy. We just haven't given it we didn't give it its same origins or something. So, uh, goblinoids or some other monster could grow from oil pits, right? It could be like there could literally be people stirring the oil, and eventually something there's like a scum on the top of it or whatever, and it's like there's like black oily orbs or something they pull out of it, and it's kind of like kind of alive, like seeds or whatever, and then they put them in these little chambers or in rock holes or in a warm, I don't know. They make a small chamber out of clay, and they heat them up, and then these things become alive or whatever. Or the oil itself, if it is consumed in small bits, basically like just a drip under the tongue, or it's mixed in with the like food or drink or whatever, and even though it's poisonous, it's also giving them great power but shortening their lifespans. And when the PCs come into town, they have like an oily look in their eyes. Maybe they cry like these blackened tears. Their fingertips are blackened. Their mouths have like a blackened ooze around it, and I mean, they could be uh, literally killing themselves, but they're also like CR8 equivalent humanoid like people that live in the town or something like that, spitting out acids and stuff. And a blade cuts across their skin and it like spews on someone and it like is sticky or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it very well could be an easy. It could be the physical embodiment of the ease of the dark side versus the light side, right? Hey, take this stuff. Sure, your lifespan will be shortened to like 1d6 years, but you'll be a badass or something, right? Yeah, bronze discs with wheels within wheels that can travel through space and time. Maybe, maybe, yeah. Oil in a fantasy universe. Shai says, "Oh, good. Wizards monopolizing fire and all the goodies, so the non-magic people have to go the technological route. Good premise. So does that start a war with the wizards? Then could be, or hell yeah, the wizards could be tearing that shit down. Like you ain't you ain't digging oil or extracting oil out the ground. Here's how I'm going to stop it. Point finger, blast fire, right? Yeah, could be a war. Or if the wizards start doing that, sabotaging the technological advancement, then that in turn could then spark humanity going like, wait a minute, why did they do that? And then that could cause a war unto itself. So yeah. Yeah. TA says since ooh, out my word. Use words there, DBJ. Since sapphires are made from aluminum, I wonder what kind of gems could be formed from mithril as an oxide or some other compound to make gemstones instead of just the metal. I don't know. I wonder if let's look this up. Are there semi-precious stones made from petroleum products? No, I know what a gemstone is, but I want to know if there's. Okay. Hmm. Some semi precious gemstones are produced as byproducts of other mining operations. Hmm. Gemstones. Semi precious stones. The gemstone industry in the United States is extremely small and relies on foreign trade to meet most of its source requirements. The United States has no known large resources of precious gemstones such as diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds, and resources are generally limited to semi-precious stones. Several semi-precious gemstone deposits are mined in the United States. Oh, this is a huge document. I'm not going to be able to. Some semi-precious stones are produced as byproducts of other mining operations. For example, beryl, tourmaline, spodumene, and gem quartz may be co-products of mica, feldspar, quartz, or other pegmatite minerals. Ooh, diamonds may be recovered from gold dredges, turquoise from copper mines, agate and petrified wood from gravel pits, and gem garnet from abrasive garnet mines and mills. And it goes on. This is pretty detailed. This is detailed kind of stuff. But yeah, turquoise from mining. Thank you. Thank you. You got there. uh oh no. So we have to find them, journey to the center of the earth in the name of gemstone independence. Zorn Prawn. uh let's see if we can find some of these pictures here. Images. Let's see if it shows up. Oh, it won't let me show it. Okay. It won't let me show it. Zorn imagery. Zorns. Where's that picture? Where's the Zorn making out with the chick? The Earth Elemental. Oh, I can't find it. It's not showing up. I can't find you. Oh, there's the little girl. Usually it's nope. It got pushed. It got pushed down. I can't find it. But it's pretty funny though. Yeah. I'm gonna stick a rock in you. Hmm. Uh, yes, YouTube. We're talking about Dungeons and Dragons monsters. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. But anyway, Zorns. basically, it would be some super sci-fi Middle Earth thing called transparent mithril that all the dwarves scoff at until they are confronted with it. Ooh, ooh. Since sapphires are made from aluminum, yeah, that would be pretty interesting. Okay, um, so all right, so we need to figure out like what kind of like what are player characters going to even friggin' do? So the PCs come across, I don't know, an oasis in the accursed desert and spewing out oil, and they just shrug their shoulders and they go, it's nasty. Let's keep on moving. And then they come back and there's a town of 10,000 where the whole industry is there, and there are, I don't know, burrowing monsters that are being mutated by drinking the damn stuff or drowning in it or whatever. So what are our player characters doing? So one could be that the player characters are exploiters. They are the extractors. They are the ones who are caravanners. They're the ones that are protecting the people who are going out to find the stuff, mine for it, and extract it. And I think the difference between that and other adventuring would be that it would come across as something that I've never brought up before, but I thought about it. This might be spiral adventuring. So instead of like point crawling or dungeon delving or hex crawling, this might be a spiral. And what I mean by a spiral is that imagine yourself a real spiral where the path of the spiral can be long, but a straight line between the center of the spiral and where the PCs are at is a very short line. In other words, it's like Star Trek in many ways, where players would be exploring the outer realm, protecting, patrolling, scouting, hunting, extracting, surveying, but they're never very far away from the home base, the extraction source, so that they, when in doubt, they're on patrol. When in doubt, they are carrying the barrels of oil from one place to another. When in doubt, they are protecting surveyors who are looking for other places. When in doubt, they are part of a cleanup crew, or um, murder killing the mutated monsters. What I always kept saying, like the dire monsters that are, or a chimera that come about from this kind of thing. They are the envoys and diplomats and bodyguards of outsiders that also want this resource. So this could very well be something, maybe even the player characters themselves, instead of them being hired or loyal to whatever endeavor's going on, maybe it belongs to the player characters and they're trying to extract it and use it and have it in the game. Um, yep. Yeah, Shai says, yep. Talking about the gemstones and the zorns and digging the earth and stuff like that. We forget, side note, we often forget that we forget about the other things in the earth. We often think about, oh, dungeons and earth and going down in caves in the underground. Maybe it's just stone and minerals, but there's a lot of liquids down in there, and air pockets and heat and cold and things like that. And this could be very well be one type of a number of liquids underground. We talked about dead gods. I mean, pockets of blood or fresh water or very very high alkalinity liquids or boiling liquids due to heat friction or lava or something, or and oil is definitely one of those things, acids, things like that. It says, okay, current events in D&D. The next ruler of the realm can't stand it that we have to import gemstones, so he sends you on a massive cave crawl to find a domestic source of gemstones. Hell yeah. And that ties with a journey to the elemental plane of earth. Everybody must get stoned. Hell yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, the plane of earth must have petroleum too, right? Or is that some para-elemental plane of oil? Um, I think you could easily make the assumption to that, right? The closer, well, let's see. We normally think earth and water would be mud, but I don't see a problem. Maybe would earth and oil be closer to the negative material plane? And I don't know. I don't see why not. I mean, hell, we don't know what lives on the elemental plane of Earth. So if they are literally hydrocarbons, there could be massive, I don't know, Tarrasque, purple worm, dragon turtle type creatures that have died and got crushed into those kind of materials or something. Hell's yeah, why not? Yeah, this is our fantasy. This is our brain. We don't have to abide by anybody else. TA says, "Ha, this is reminding me of them draining the aquifers, causing cities, yeah, to sink faster than any ocean levels are rising. So pumping water into the ground will raise the city to keep up with the ocean levels." There's a city. All right, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this Zorn thing. Let's see, the city, burning city in burning city in Pennsylvania. Okay. Um, Yeah, they're back in the 70s, and I'm not sure if it's still there or what's going on. But yeah, there was a city, yeah, the ghost town that is still burning. Yep, yep. There's a Centralia, Pennsylvania, but I'm going to find the article about it. Let's do. Let's go to news. The fires continue. What Centralia looks like today. Today, there's not much left in the town once known as Centralia, but one thing is for sure: the fires are still burning. The Centralia fire, which began, am I showing this to you guys? Yeah. All right. The Centralia fire, which began in 1962, is still burning and is expected to continue burning for hundreds of years as coal seam fires are the largest lasting fires on Earth. Visitors to Centralia now have to walk into town as the graffiti highway, once a main attraction, has been covered with dirt to discourage vandalism. The ground remains unstable due to ongoing fires. Only 10 residents remain in Centralia as hazards from carbon monoxide levels and unstable ground have forced people to move away. The town has abandoned homes and cemeteries, but visiting should be done with respect and caution. At one point in time, the town of Centralia was a symbol of success for Pennsylvania mining. While not the largest population, it was estimated that almost 1,100 people resided within it. Considering the small size of the town, this made it feel like a bustling community and one that never would have anticipated events to follow in May 1962. This is when the fires broke out underground in Centralia. And then it goes on and on and on, right? Uh, will Centralia, PA ever stop burning? And that this in and of itself, adventure wise, might be pretty interesting. Maybe there are people reminiscent of the gate to hell in Turkmenistan. Um, this very well could be a byproduct of something that happened, maybe from this oil extraction or digging in the earth or something like that. It ignited on fire or whatever, and maybe the player characters are there on day one and have to extract residents, save people's lives, extract important resources, magic items, jewelry, people's riches and whatnot. And save those people. Maybe show was called Nothing But Trouble. Oh yes, yes, yes. I barely remember that. Yes, Ta talked about something. Yeah, and so very well this oil extraction, like you said, Ta talking about extracting the oil from aquifers and causing communities to sink. This could be on a trade route where the trade route was like the Queens Road. And the Queens Road, people travel back and forth, but now it's starting to sink and there's sinkholes and stuff because of the oil extraction. The oil could have been the fuel or food for some other monstrous beings or entities, or eggs were put into the oil that would grow, and now the insectoid hordes are pissed off and they want to know where their oil's being extracted to. The fire beings, gods, or something like that. This could be their very blood life, and it being extracted could be a religious thing. Like, hey, you're extracting something that's for us is a religious commodity. It's not. It's something to be honored, or it could literally be their blood of a you know smaller elemental beings could be spawned of something larger that they're trying to bring back to life. And yeah, the gate to hell is real. The Soviets were drilling for natural gas. The drill platform broke through the ground, revealing an abyss, spewing out unlimited quantities of natural gas. Yeah. And listen, we haven't even talked about flammable gases being a thing that the player characters may need to adventure in and around. I mean, imagine them going into a town like that, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, pyromancer, you don't want to use that burning hand spell because you're probably going to light everybody on fire. And it's like, oh no. Hey, One Eye Heathens is just wanted to say hello and thanks for another great show. Well, you don't know it's great. You can't say that. But anyway, good to have you here. Being here so damn early. Yeah, gate to hell. Shai says, oh, they revealing an abyss spewing out unlimited quantities of natural gas. So they lit the gas on fire because environment. That was back in the 80s. It's still burning now. Is that really a thing? Damn. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Crude oil, crude oil. Let me share out this tab here and then switch over so we get some crude oil images while I look this up. Yeah, wow, 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 wow. Let me see. Let's see. I think it came up. There it is. Okay, I found it. We'll go to Wikipedia and then we'll maybe get some other images here. The Darvaza gas crater, also known as the door to hell or gates of hell, or officially the shining of Karakum, is a burning natural gas field collapsed into a cavern near Darva- Darvaza, Turkmenistan. I'm butchering that pronunciation. The floor and especially rim of the crater are illuminated by hundreds of natural gas fires. The crater has been burning since the 1980s. As how the crater formed is unknown, but engineers ignited the crater to prevent poisonous gases from spreading. Controlling the burn. Yeah. And let me. Sorry, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to get some images. There we go. Here's some images of that crater and it burn it. That would be. I also think like we. I mean, could you talk? Could we have an adventure where it's pretty much like protecting the environment and blah blah blah? Sure, but it would also be pretty interesting. Thank you very much. Um, it would also be pretty interesting to find out that like the player characters think they're in a regular fantasy realm, and lo and behold, think let me bring one of these up pretty big here. Lo and behold, things like this, one of them, two of them, eight of them, 27 of the like different events like this start happening and it starts spreading across the fantasy realm where you have like burning craters and cities on fire and dangerous gases and crude oil just spilling out everywhere and accidents happening on the Queen's Road and monsters being covered in this nasty oil that's making them go dire, right? And so many other things happening, and the PCs are like, what the WTF is happening in our fantasy realm? Like, is this becoming like a hellscape or something? Little by little, and humans are like, no, not really. Oh, there's the visitation here. Let me put this one bigger here. There's a road and a visitation. Um, there's a You could see that there is a way to walk around it and visit it. The quest to extinguish the flames of Turkmenistan's terrifying gates of hell fire pit. Wow. And you can see even way up at the top of this image in the background, there are probably these um, safe places, probably scientific places to stay as well, near it to study, like, how do you get rid of it? How deep is it? What's going on geologically underneath it? Things like that. Yeah. 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 I mean, we've got drones now that you could kind of probably, I mean, you probably lose quite a number of cameras, but you could probably get down pretty deep. Um, Maybe try to cover something in some kind of like carbon diamond coated something and try to get down deep as well. I mean, there's fire sensors, but how far does it go down? I don't know. And then it'd be scary as hell to like dig near it to try to make like um another pit next to it, but then that would just ignite. I don't know. Could you smother it? Would it just pop up somewhere else? Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, so let's put this crude oil image up here instead. So again, having a resource, especially the greater chance it has of being exposed to a normal human population. Um, Shai says, "Isn't yet? Well, I'm with you." So Hunt says, "Isn't Dark Sun kind of an adventure for protecting the environment? Because it's you against the defilers, right? Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, guess what? This is what happens when you ruin everything. When literally magic kills life in the very ground and such. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Um, I mean, I suppose Turkmenistan, 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 Turkmenistan. I'm gonna go with Turkmenistan. Uh, but yeah, with Dark Sun being a like anti don't fuck up the environment kind of adventuring world. Sure, I definitely agree with you. I think it would be funny if Dark Sun didn't exist and it was made today, and a bunch of people were just like, you're just climate change. I don't know, apologetics or climate change panic people. There's nothing you get both extremes, right? Except you can't argue it because it already exists today. But yeah, I think you get both of those today. TA says they end up finding that the magic is just extremely advanced science instead, and dragons are just intelligent lizards. Could be. Yeah. Yeah, all that heat they are releasing from oil and natural gas is just stored heat from the sun from eons ago, so it'll be fine. Better than methane being blasted into the atmosphere, where it can destroy ozone and act as a greenhouse gas unless you realize we are just heading to a green age of plentiful food and not the death of Earth due to global warming, which would be pretty hilarious as well, right? Yeah. You're just like, wait, you know, hey, greenhouse gases, we're all living in a jungle now. Or we turn into eventually turn into a new Venus or something. That could be a possibility as well. Um, New life, new fires, new things like that. But yes, resource extraction. Now let's go. Since we're talking about dark, I'm gonna put this Dark Sun comment back up again. Um, uh, oops, it moved on me. Shai says, if Dark Sun, if it was made today, don't give them any ideas to create another shitstorm of dogpiling WotC and making all the RPG channels even more boring than they are already. Yeah. See, that's my point, right? It's like, oh my god, people are like, take politics out of my stuff, and it's like, well, you're the one bringing it into it. This is all speculation. This is all fantasy. So now, before Dark Sun existed, the defilers, or maybe they didn't even have the title of defilers. This crude oil extraction, strangely enough, could be by those Circle of Druid cultists, right? Hey, we are one with nature. This is in nature. Therefore, we have the right to extract the damn thing. And everyone's going, please stop. Please don't do that. Please stop. Please don't do that. And it creates something pretty horrible. So, player characters could actually be saboteurs. They could be the terrorists of the fantasy realm trying to stop this kind of thing. I mean, if a Druidic circle gave this kind of techno techno um archaic, I mean arcanic chemical whatever to the masses, or nobility or who's ever in control, they'll definitely jump onto it. And the players might be going like doing the slap in the forehead, like, don't, I can't believe you did that. So they might be trying to stop it or curtail it or destroy any evidence of it or arrest those that are doing the thing. I mean, the player characters could very easily be fighting on the sides of nature, life, that kind of thing, or they could just be defending their own countryside. Like we don't have access to that, like today, right? Y- Um, Petroleum controls the world because even if you don't want to use it, you need to be part of that economic powerhouse, if for no other reason than to monitor or control everyone else's access to that resource. So yeah, players might have to really figure out a way like, okay, how do we stop them from extracting this resource? Do we just murder kill all the people that can find it? Well, that's not going to work. So do we just sabotage everything? Ooh, that's not going to work. And so on and so forth, right? Shai says, oh, okay, here's an idea. D&D petroleum comes from Tarask fat. There used to be millions of Tarasks, but they hunted them all till there was only one left. Yeah, I likes that. I likes that. And little baby black dragons spawned from it. Spawned from the oily mess that was left behind. Yeah, now you got a world with no more petroleum, but one pissed off Tarask. Hells yeah, I love it. I like that idea. I like that cycle because, well, what maybe those kick-ass 20th level PCs destroyed them all, and we're living in a world where the damn things are down in the ground and their blood's being extracted, and the 20th level PC's like, well, we don't have nothing to do with that. We murder killed all the Tarasks. Sorry. Yeah, we kited them. As long as we can skip the nukes and go straight for exploding light itself. Yeah. Forget that. Let's just explode the sun. Oh man. But anyway, thank you very much, guys. It's been a treat. I really appreciate it. Also, sometimes I do start a couple of minutes a little bit later, just because I like to make sure my tech issues have like settled out sometimes. And I get ready to go live, and I'll see something spike, and I'm like, "Oh, son of a bitch!" So yeah, that will happen every once in a while. But anyway, thank you very much for being part of the show. Didn't get into more of the more despicable parts of the oil trade, crude oil trade, such as um, what happens when you take regular old people and make them into the fantasy world realm of multi-billionaires, um, trillionaires, maybe. Yeah. Hey, can we do a day of the almighty algorithm someday? Yeah, why not? Yeah. Jesus, are you referring to the radiance nukes in Mystara? Radiance nukes? I don't remember that. Another day of oil wouldn't be so wrong either. Maybe we'll do it in a different manner. Like I was today. I'm just talking about like literally crude oil, like it's literally bubbling out of the ground, or someone sticks a relatively long pipe into the ground, and the damn stuff starts bubbling up. But we could go into like OPEC and and that kind of thing if we wanted to in a modern context, I guess. Yeah, just call it a day of black gold. Yep. Black gold. Hells yeah. Absolutely. So, guys, thank you very much. I'm normally my little outro. I normally take you out on something else, but I'm going to take you on an outro concerning Obsidian Star, the tabletop role playing game that I'm still working on. Basically, building it in front of you guys. As a matter of fact, I'll show you. I will. Yeah, I'll show you the character sheet and how I've modified it a little bit. I even added a hit location onto it, the character sheet. Since we're at the end of the show, so I figure we can get away with sharing it. Share this tab instead. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Um, so anyway, yeah. This top piece here is the character sheet that's got all the rules and shit written in written in the margins and whatnot, and arrows pointing at everything. Kind of complicated, but kind of fun and everything. Got all the stats and how do you recover shit and all that kind of business. Yep. I took the pockets. This was like a very dark color, and I basically turned it gray. I toned down the transparency to make it a little less shocking. Um, and that sort of thing. And then I added a hit location here on the bottom left of it. So it's like hit location question mark, roll 2d12, pick the most desired result. If somehow confounded or obstructed, pick the least desired result. An injured body part is baggage. So yes, number one is, and each body part has like a double number to it. So one is the face, two is the skull, three is the upper chest, four is like the stomach and the gonads. And then we go on for that. Like five is a hand, six is like an arm, shoulder, seven is the other hand, and eight is the upper arm. I mean, the arm and shoulder. And then we have 9 and 11 are the feet, and then 10 and 12 are the thighs, calves and thighs and stuff like that. But thought I'd add that in there. And then we have ourselves a clean character sheet, a little bit of a cleaner one. I took all the stuff away and cleaned it up. Still black and white. I might make a color one or one with like a what's it called? Uh, Oil mark, whatever. Maybe some kind of like image on the behind it, whatever. Took out the hit location on the corner. I might put it back in there. I'm not really certain. And then we have some other stuff here. I was just working on different things. Kind of dumb. Working on some rules, and then what I might do is change up the fonts and make it. Yeah, I'm a very vast grim, Morkborg, cyborg type layout person, and I was going to try my hand at something like that. I know some people can't stand that, but anyway, so I thought I'd share some things. How to recover damage and losses and all that kind of business, recovering your attributes and whatnot, all that kind of business, stuff like that. Like, let's see, let's make this as big as possible. So there's a here's a recovery rule. So after you lose your strive, you take damage to your attributes, and had to write the rules down, and I was like, oh, the rules are too long, fuck, because it kind of goes on a little bit. It's like here, here, and here, and then if you're a machine, it goes down here, stuff. And I was like, damn it. Uh, but yeah, we'll figure it out. So yeah, and yes, that's a black hole, and yes, those are 2d12s, and yes, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I wasn't sure I was going to do it. I was only messing with it for like a half an hour, 45 minutes or something. But anyway, yep, that's Obsidian Star. Let me stop sharing that out here because that's not what we came here to do. But I was excited about it. Forgive me, I was excited. Come on, stop sharing. There we go. Oof, ooh, that took a little bit of time. Oh, great! Obsidian fits nicely. Surely they're beyond oil in that timeline, right? Though, yeah, you hope so. I have to share my Nikola Tesla temporal reserve note bill I designed and made. Really, really. TA says, nice thing about the percentile dice for body determination is the bell curve effect, yeah, can be used to give that more often hitting the center mass statistically too. Yeah, and listen, it went through my mind because I was actually going to do a 2d12 bell curve number because let's be honest, most people will try to aim at and hit center mass, right? But then I was like, but then people put their hands up to protect themselves a lot. So you get a lot of people that get injuries to their arms and hands. And I was wondering if I do that. But yeah. But yes, you are right. Because a D12 has an 8.33% percentage bell curve. So if I do a 2D12, I could throw that in. I think you got me. Damn it, TA. So I wonder if you can tie the day of oil with the day of anger and get progressives and conservatives start fighting at the gaming table. Hell yeah. Yeah, we need to drill more oil. No, we need to blah, blah, blah. Now, my personal opinion is whether you feel one way or the other is being dependent on a resource that somebody else controls is never a good thing. That's horrible. Um, uh, Security for yourself economically and physically and, and politically. So yeah, but guess what? We do it, right? And in a fantasy realm, I could see oil, black gold being a resource that everybody else wants, especially if we go to the very arcane, like just spice melange the damn thing, right? Where just this little dip underneath the tongue and you have magical abilities or something like that. I mean, shit, you could really reframe, rethink, recontextualize a very dark world in which we're going to do a black gold day and make a world in which all the character concepts are built around the oil. So mages don't just read books, clerics don't just worship gods and whatnot, warlocks don't just make deals and such. Maybe everything is based around oil, from bathing in it to, paladins bathing in it to clerics, worshiping it, and I don't know, whatever. Druids lighting it on fire and consuming it or something. I don't know how, but it would be a pretty nasty world with, like, again, burning oil fields and that kind of thing. Yeah, let's get back to the burning oil fields imagery just to show off this, like, pretty nasty landscape here and how we could play with that and make that part of a that would be the landscape of a world, like a dark sun but not dark sun, right? It's a post-apocalyptic world where, you know here's a kid on a bike and there's fucking oil fields in the background, like, damn it, and things are just burned to the ground and PCs are trying to, like, delve in, dungeon delve, but you got to be careful because there's, like, noxious poisonous fumes, and if you light a fire, who knows what the hell might happen. Yeah, magic mud, people wiping on their faces. Yeah, neither. Shice is I don't have much of a horse in the oil environment race. I just think current events in fantasy RPGs is a hilarious way to get people riled up. I think so too. Except not that hilarious, except already done to death. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like the industrial world that the Worf character of Seth's Star Trek comedy sci-fi show has. Yeah. One mud bath and boom, you're epic level. Yeah, hells yeah. Yeah, I brain fart on live anyway. So guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I am not going to take up any more of your time. Thank you very much. I'm going to take us out on a new outro video I made. It's just basically cards with music, but I'll take you out on that as well. Guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for spending your time here. I know your time is very valuable. I really do appreciate it. We're going to talk tomorrow. We'll talk about um, cattle ranching and lumber and coal mining and railroads. Maybe we'll do railroads tomorrow. But we're using the foundations, different bits and pieces of history for foundations of the United States, and use that for our own tabletop role playing experience and how fun that can be. So, guys, thank you much. One last comment here. Yeah, happy next fraction. Thank you very much, guys. I'll take you out on a little outro card here. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility.